Hi guys, it's Phoebe from Who's Phoebe and welcome back to another Doctor Who video. I do apologise for the lack of videos lately. I've just been pronouncing, whatever the word is, for not really getting back into filming after having COVID, but I'm back now properly and there will be new videos every week. I've also got this Doctor Who scarf, so now I can be Doctor Who'd up for every single thing I do, and my blue glasses, which are very TARDIS-like. So yeah, I thought with the centenary special just around the corner, I would do, so for today's video I am doing history of the Daleks. I thought with the centenary special being only around the corner, it was about time I did a video like this. And I did do the history of the Sea Devils before Legend of the Sea Devils airs, so it now makes sense that I do history of the Daleks before the centenary special airs. And we're also going to do history of the Cybermen as well. Great, there's a wasp in here. That's all I need. Just need to find the page. I always leave the page, the Doctor Who TV page, open on my phone. I've closed it on my iPad now because it's easier to do it on my phone, because my iPad's paused on Chicago Fire right now because that's kind of what I'm getting into lately, but I need to... Anyway, moving on. Now, we all know the Daleks have been the Doctor's greatest enemy since Doctor Who first began on the 23rd of November 1963, but the history of the Daleks is a bit more complicated, as they were the first classic Doctor Who monster to come out, but they weren't the first ones we see in the very first Doctor Who episode that ever aired. It was the second serialised story they did with the Daleks that we saw. And ever since then, most incarnations of the Doctor have encountered the Daleks in somewhat, like the third Doctor or the fourth Doctor anyway. If I can find what I need. I have to go quite far down because there's a lot of Dalek episodes. So the very first Dalek episode we see is in season 1, serialised story number 2, and we first meet them in the Dead Planet. So I'm just going to go through every single Dalek Doctor Who episode that ever been with every single Doctor. So the first time we saw them was with the first Doctor. The TARDIS lands in a parative forest on an alien planet. Determined to explore, the Doctor leads his companions into the Metal City, where they discover the danger of what will become his deadliest enemies, the mutants. Now, I will admit, the first Doctor here has been a little bit stupid, has been a little bit ridiculous and reckless when he first did this. When he first did this, he was a bit reckless with it, and he led his companions onto Skaro, where we first meet the Daleks and understand their home planet. They come from Skaro, that's where they obviously do, and the 10th Doctor, in all the incarnations, most incarnations have always had a little bit of a round with the Daleks, but I must admit that first Dalek episode has always been the one to beat. Now the second time we meet the Daleks is in Dalek Invasion of Earth. Arriving in a devastated London in the middle of the 21st century, so around like 2003, that was when the 20th century started. That's only my estimate. The Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Susan discover the Daleks have invaded Earth. Will the human race be enslaved by the evil Daleks, or can the Doctor stop their indigenous plan and save mankind from the extermination? Now, by this point, we'd already established the Daleks were going to make a return, and it's annoying me because by this point we'd already established that the Daleks were going to return, no doubt about it. They were going to return, and this was in the second series of Doctor Who with the first Doctor, so this is the first Doctor's second encounter with the Daleks. Now, the Doctor's next encounter. Now, I don't have an opinion on this because I've never watched this episode because it's a missing episode. But the next one is the Daleks' Master Plan, which of course is in season 3, episode 4, roughly. In their quest to gain control of the solar system, the Daleks have taken possession of the Time Destructor, a weapon which threatens the safety of who stands in their way. As they head up an alliance of alien races bent on destroying the human race, in their midst is none other than the tenderest guardian of the solar system, Mark Cleveland. A dangerous case ensures across volcanoes, jungles, desert and futuristic cities as the Doctor and his companions struggle to prevent the Daleks' plan coming to the fusion. The stakes are high, and for the first time in the programme's history, the lives of 2 travellers are lost. Yeah. I've never actually seen that story. I can't because sorry, I'll have to do it on my iPad because for some reason every time I press the back button on there, it doesn't take me to the correct one. Never seems to. Ah! Bingo. I've just had to do it all this first, but that's okay. So, after series 3, the Daleks Master Plan, the next time we don't see the Daleks for a little while, but that's okay. Season 4, which is probably one of the first the next time we see the Daleks is the Power of the Daleks, which is the second Doctor's first encounter with the Daleks, which okay, so this is the second Doctor's first encounter with the Daleks. The newly regenerated Time Lord and his companions, Polly and Ben, do battle with an old foe on the mysterious planet Vulture. How will Polly and Ben cope with the new Doctor? How will the Doctor take on his new body? And how will they even overcome the power of the Daleks? Now that's an interesting one. I think I'm finally getting to the way how this thing works. Yep. Okay, cool. So, what is that one? Season 5. The next encounter the second Doctor had, obviously we've got Power of the Daleks. The next one he had, and I'm working out how this thing works. Done. Obviously the next one that the Doctor had was either of the Daleks in the same season. This is when we first meet Victoria. Obviously this isn't on BritBox. I've tried. It's an episode that's lost. The TARDIS has been stolen from Gatwick Airport and the Doctor and Jamie are hot on its trail. A series of cryptic clues led them to an antique shop owner by Edward Waterfall, and there it becomes clear that their elaborate trap has been laid for them, but by whom and for what purpose? Only a journey back in time to the 1960s will reveal the answer. The Daleks are in search for a human factor, something which they believe will help their quest for the universe domination. In order to achieve their aim, they need the Doctor's help, and the use of his TARDIS worries that his old friend might be turning traitor. Jamie discovers that he is too part of the plan, in the course of which he encounters Victoria Waterfield, a young woman who is to play a large part in his and the Doctor's life. The Daleks' plan has far-reaching consequences, leading to conflict and destruction of the astonishing patience, and the TARDIS arrives on the battlefield planet of Skaro. The scene is set for an encounter between the Doctor and the malicious Emperor Daleks. Obviously, we know about the Emperor, like, the Emperor isn't a surprise to us. We know the Emperor and stuff like that. So the Emperor has never been a surprise to us in the whole Dalek thing with Davros. The next time we see the Daleks, let me just check. Okay, so it looks like the second Doctor had two main encounters with the Daleks in the exact same season, and it's not unheard of for the Daleks to be in 2 seasons with the same Doctor, but he had an encounter with them in series 4 and also in season 5 as well, where we meet Victoria. On to the third Doctor. Now the third Doctor has had his fair share of encountering the Daleks, but I'm gonna say that his episodes have always been probably the most thrilling to watch. So the third Doctor's first encounter with the Daleks was Day of the Daleks. On Earth in the 22nd century, Daleks have enslaved their planet and humans live in fear of their masters. Meanwhile, back in the 20th century, a peace conference is urging near to prevent World War III. When reports each unit of the Ghost at Aldrin House, the site for the conference, the Doctor and Jo decide to investigate. Danger is waiting for them there, including a trip 200 years into the future without the TARDIS. I liked that episode, and it was very, like, intriguing how they did it, and it was all very good as well, and it was just absolutely incredible. The next encounter the Doctor has with the Daleks isn't for another whole season. Like, they had the Daleks in season 9, left them out for season 10, obviously to give them a bit of a break. The next encounter he has is in season 11 in Death to the Daleks. A power failure in the TARDIS draws it off course, and the Doctor, Sarah Jane Smith, end up stranded on the bleak planet of Axelon. They soon meet members of the Earth Exhibition in a similar situation. The humans are searching for a rare mineral, but first they find out what is draining their power and avoiding what's inside a grounding spaceship, the Doctor's oldest enemy, the Daleks. Okay, so we've covered the 4th Doctor. Now for the 4th Doctor. Now, the 4th Doctor is one of those Doctors that has had so many encounters with the Daleks, and by this point the Daleks are well established into Doctor Who. Like, back in the day, that there wouldn't have been a Doctor Who fan who didn't know what the word Dalek or Centenary meant. But in series 12 we have the first and only Dalek serialized story, Genesis of the Daleks. So that I'm not going to read every single information about every single story. This video will be too long if I did that. So the next encounter the 4th Doctor has with the Daleks isn't for a while, because the next encounter he has, let me just have a look at the serialized listings, is in series 17, Destiny of the Daleks, which again is the 4th Doctor's second encounter with his enemies. And then that's it. Now the 5th Doctor. Now the 5th Doctor only ever had one encounter with the Daleks, Resurrection of the Daleks. Like, the 5th Doctor has only ever had one encounter with the Daleks. So I'm going to read you the description. Earth 1984, the TARDIS becomes trapped in a time corridor and is drawn off course, emerging in London's deserted docklands. Meanwhile, in deep space from the far future, a prison ship comes under attack from unknowing forces. Two seamlessly unconnected events, both linked by one terrible purpose. The Daleks are back, and once again they are in search for their evil creator Davros. Obviously, I forgot to mention something. I have to go back down now. I should have written all these episodes down so I knew kind of. Genesis of the Daleks is obviously when we first meet Davros, the Dalek thing. I apologise if I keep looking down at my phone. I really need to have a better setup. Now on to the 6th Doctor. Now, the 6th Doctor didn't really have such a long run, but it didn't mean to say he didn't have encounters with the Daleks from time to time. He did have, however, one encounter with the Daleks. After that, it was pretty much just one story with the Daleks, and that was Revelation of the Daleks, the one story the 6th Doctor ever did. Moving on to the 7th Doctor. Now, the 7th Doctor has had his fair share with the Daleks. Again, just one serialised story, but it's probably one of my favourites. Remembrance of the Daleks. Absolutely loved it, and Ace was a complete badass, hitting Daleks with a baseball bat. Okay, now I'm not going to do the 8th Doctor, as he's done a TV movie, but yes, the 8th Doctor has encountered the Daleks, assumedly when the whole Time War kicked out. Now on to the 9th Doctor. Now, I'm not a massive fan of the 9th Doctor, don't get me wrong. He's a good Doctor, but he's just not my favourite. So the first encounter the 9th Doctor had with a Dalek was in the episode from series 1 of Modern Doctor Who. I'm now talking Modern Doctor Who, as this has kind of gone into Modern Doctor Who. Is in Dalek, series 1, episode 6. Beneath the salty plains of Utah, the billionaire collector Henry Van Staten holds the relic of an alien race where the Doctor and Rose investigate. They discover that the Doctor's oldest and most deadly enemy is to break free. It's a fight to the death with Rose caught in the middle. Now, I will admit that is an interesting episode, and it is full, and remember the Ninth Doctor's just come fresh from the Time War, so it's always super fun. And then obviously after that you have Bad Wolf, the two-parter Bad Wolf and the Parting of Ways, with the Ninth Doctor and the Daleks in the final. I'm not really going to explain too much about that because that's a two-parter, so don't really want to go on about doing two-parters. Now on to my favourite Doctor, the 10th Doctor. Now, I appreciate the 10th Doctor and I love him. He's really good. But I think some of his best performances came out when he was with Martha in Series 3. But I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm just going to read the Dalek episodes. Now, obviously because I'm doing History of the Cybermen as well, so next time. But obviously the 10th Doctor's first encounter with the Daleks is an army of ghosts and Doomsday. Naturally this is with the Cybermen as well, but I'm just pointing out the Daleks. Obviously when I do History of the Cybermen will be pointed out in this as well. So yeah, the Cybermen really, the Daleks in this really outshone the Cybermen in so many ways. Now, in Season 3, we have the two-parter Daleks in Manhattan, Evolution of the Daleks, which I like. This is actually one of my favourite Dalek stories. A lot of people don't like it, but I love anything to do with the 1930s New York. Like, 1930s New York, absolutely love anything with that kind of theme. So what drawn me to this is the fact that the Daleks are in the 1930s. They're not exactly interrupting the timeline, but they are using the Empire State Building for human Daleks basically. So I did actually like this episode. The whole 1930s theme doesn't ruin it, and the Daleks' plan doesn't really change the course of history. It's more the 10th Doctor and Martha kind of stop them sort of thing. And then of course we have in Season 4 The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. Again, another fantastic Dalek story. Obviously obviously they've stolen the Earth before, but I think it's really good and it's just incredibly well done. And then we don't have the Doctor fighting Daleks for a while until obviously the Day of the Doctor, the special in 2013. Now for the 11th Doctor. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this, but the 11th Doctor has fought the Daleks a couple of times throughout his reign. Or Matt Smith has. The first time he encountered the Daleks was in Victory of the Daleks. Again, every single title in Doctor Who that has Daleks gives it away. They should really start calling them something else, but I'm not dwelling. So you have Victory of the Daleks, then of course you go into Season 6. You don't really have any Daleks in Season 6. Then you've got Asylum of the Daleks in Series 7 with Matt Smith. Again, another really good strong episode. Kind of loved seeing the Dalek Asylum on this planet that they had. And then that's it. And then obviously the 11th Doctor doesn't fight the Daleks again until Day of the Doctor and then Time of the Doctor, where they make a brief appearance on Trenzalore. Now we've got the 12th Doctor. This is an interesting one because the 12th Doctor didn't really get as many Dalek stories as a lot of the previous Doctors have. So it's interesting. It's interesting because, yeah, obviously I'm trying to find Deep Breath is the first episode for the 12th Doctor, so I know it's not in... God, it's hard to pinpoint episode with the it's hard... What the hell? It's hard to pinpoint. The Magician's Assistant and Witch's Familiar is the 12th Doctor's first encounter with the Daleks. So yeah, I will admit that. And then obviously they make a brief return in the pilot for series 10, which was meant to be like a soft reboot, and then you don't see them for a while. You don't see them until the 13th Doctor comes along. Speaking of, so the 13th Doctor's first encounter with the Daleks was after series 11 Resolution. So she and her companions encounter a Dalek on New Year's Eve. Then her next encounter is Revolution of the Daleks. So we've got Resolution, then Resolution of the Daleks. Again, same principle, except this time the Daleks have got an all new casing and it's all a bit iffy. Then we've got Doctor Who Flux. Don't know why I'm bringing this in, but I'm going to anyway. In the Vanquishers, we do see a brief encounter with the Daleks. But we have Eve of the Daleks, which is the 13th Doctor's not yet, but almost last episode with the Daleks in it. Now, this video is way too long. I don't know why I just rambled on about Daleks for a full while, but yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. I apologise for the video being so long. If I'd written down all the stories with the Daleks in at first, then maybe the video wouldn't have been this long, but who knows. Make sure you click the big red subscribe button down below, and also click the notifications bell to get notifications every single time I upload. I will remember when I do History of the Cybermen to make sure I write down all the Cybermen episodes beforehand so I can do it properly and the video won't be as long. Have a wibbly wobbly timey wimey day.